Mike Scharfenberg, Game Plan You today, and welcome to a special Tuesday lunchtime edition of Interview with Influencers. As always, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to join us. And I hope everyone's out there doing well. As always, building those genuine relationships, working on that personal brand each and every day, right? Growing, getting better. But then also from just a normal work-life balance perspective, I hope you're enjoying sports. I know last night I was flipping through the channels and it kind of hit me. As NBA playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs, MLB season. You got the NFL right around the corner. You got college football. Fingers crossed that at least a decent amount of the conferences will play some games this year, and we can get a little more insight today with our guest on that. But it's really a special time. Most likely in your lifetime, you're not going to have this ever again where you have all of these sports going on at once. And I think it just goes to show it's a little bit untraditional with the root of fans and, most venues not having fans in the stands. But it's starting already, and we've been preaching it for a while, is that the revolution of sports, and it's going to come back bigger and better than ever. And this is just the first steps of that. So with that said, I'm excited to bring out our special guest today. I've been following him on LinkedIn for a long time, and from the moment I crossed paths with him, just his passion for our industry, his career story, and his passion for helping others was the biggest one, and why I wanted to connect and get this gentleman on here. And I'm extremely humbled and excited to welcome the current Director of Ticket Sales and Service for UTEP Athletics. So without further ado, Interview with Influencer Nation, let's give a virtual round of applause to Joey Harvey. Joey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for having me, and excited to be here. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you I know it's a busy time for you, so thank you for taking the time to jump on and speak with us today. So how is everything going? How's the weather out there? You're still in San Antonio, correct?
That's right. So I'm in the process of moving out of San Antonio and into El Paso. I'll be there early September, so next week actually. But to answer both questions, it's hot. So regardless of if you're in San Antonio or El Paso, it's hot out here, and it's as of right now still dry. But in San Antonio, we're going to get some of the remnants of the incoming storms, I think. So I think in a few days we might get a little bit of rain, but nothing too bad, I don't think. But as of right now, it's going okay.
Yeah, I've actually still, fun fact, never been to Texas. I know the great state of Texas, and that's the one thing I keep hearing is the heat out there. So yeah, it's definitely
short sandals. Yeah, you'll be fine, and you'll enjoy it a lot. So there a lot of different things to see in Texas. It's a wide open space, but you'd enjoy yourself, and a lot of different things to see for sure.
That's it. I'm gonna have to see now. It's perfect. I'm gonna have to get out there for a UTEP game, right?
Absolutely.
It's kill two birds with one stone. So no. Thanks again for taking the time to join us. So let's get right into this. So starting how we normally start is, most of us growing up as sports fans, we have the goal and the dream to be on the court shooting the game-winning free throws or hitting the game-winning home run. And for the mass majority of us, that dream comes to an end. At different stages, some play high school, some play college, but at the end of the day, that dream eventually comes to an end. And so but then a lot of us are introduced to the business side of sports, right? So when were you first introduced to the business side of sports, and what was it about that attracted you?
Yeah, probably as a kid in my own mind, I was attracted to the business side of sports first. When I was playing youth sports, I was a baseball and football player growing up, mostly baseball. But when I was playing out in the yard, I was playing, but also in the back of my mind, I was running through these fake leagues in my head and these fake stats in my head and all that. And so watching ESPN growing up and stuff too, I always kind of had in mind that the business side of sports is where I want to be. And I always kind of had a fascination with that. And so always loved the idea of being on the team side of things and running operations there, eventually of some sort. And actually became pretty interested in the media side of things too. As a kid growing up, I was always pretty good at writing and English and stuff as well. So being obsessed with ESPN and broadcast and things like that too. When I went to college at Mississippi State, I immediately knew that I wanted to get involved pretty quickly with the campus newspaper and becoming a sports writer there. And so my second day on campus, I learned that my dorm was a quick walk away from the newspaper office. And so I walked over there, got an application and applied for their on-campus newspaper as a sports writer, and got the job pretty quickly to cover volleyball in the fall primarily and softball in the spring. And so I did that for all 4 years. So my senior year, I did an internship in minor league baseball in Huntsville, Alabama, AA team with the Milwaukee Brewers at the time, called the Huntsville Stars. So I did that internship January through August through pretty much a full season there, thinking I was going to get into sports writing at the time as well. But then when I got there in Huntsville, I learned that this was going to be a very general internship to where I was going to do a lot of different things. And one of those things that I learned pretty quickly on the spot was sports selling. So how to walk into a business and ask for the business owner or the decision maker to sell either group tickets or outfield wall signs or advertisements for the team, that sort of thing. And so through my internship there, learned sports sales kind of the hard way, but also the fun way, and learned that I wasn't bad at it and that I kind of enjoyed it as well too. So coming back to campus after that internship was over, when I began my job search, I kind of shifted it towards sports sales, learning that there were a lot more opportunities there in that field rather than sports media, and the pay could potentially be better as well too, based on commission structures and things like that too. So always kind of had that knack for sports business. And when I did my internship in minor league baseball in Huntsville, that was kind of what really solidified it for me, knowing that this was a cool way to get involved in it after I was not playing anymore. And this was a cool way I could get involved in really what all goes into behind the scenes stuff to run a sports franchise as well. So you really learn a lot working in AA baseball. So I kind of guess that's how I got my start and what kind of led to the interest there.
I love it. And I'm such a strong advocate. And I know I've spoke to it in the past, but often sales gets that kind of bad reputation of, oh, he's just gonna sell me something. He's not trying to help me. So I'm curious, now that you got that introduction to the business side and to sales, what was it about sports sales, the ticket sales and service industry, that you said, that's it, that's what I want to do?
Yeah. So, people, I think it's two sides of it. The internal side is that, yes, it is very similar to a sport itself in the sense that you're competing with your teammates and that you're competing, you're trying to be the best that you can be. You're kind of competing with yourself as well too. You want to be better than you were yesterday. You want to be better than you were last month or last year. And you want to continue to tweak your craft in terms of that as well too. So in that sense that it's very much like being an athlete in terms of perfecting your game and being the best that you can be on your team as well. You want to be the best person on your team, but you also want the team itself to succeed as well and achieve its goals too. On the external side, though, I think as I had to learn this throughout my career instead of it being so obvious when I first started out. But like you mentioned, we're not really here to sell stuff. We are here to kind of be a conduit between our fans and the experiences that they'll have later on. So when you think about all the fans in the stands and all the, back before COVID hit, all the cool behind the scenes experiences that we could do to get them on the field or to get them to, high five players or to get them, locker room tours and things like that. You're the reason, because you've reached out to them, you're the reason that they get to experience those things because you're getting to know about their experiences. You ask them, the right questions about what they want to do and what's important to them and their families or their businesses. And you get to present them with the opportunity to experience those things. And then when you get to fulfill it on the back end and see how it makes them feel or how it makes their kids feel or how it makes their clients feel, it's a very, very fulfilling feeling to know that you're the reason that they got to experience that. So on the internal side, yes, it's the competition and it's the thrill of the success in that regard. But on the external side, it's knowing that you made a difference in someone's life. And for that moment, that moment in sports or that moment in their experience and in their entertainment world, they're happy and they've forgotten about everything else and all the troubles of their life. And you were a big reason that they got to do that because you had reached out to them in the first place. So that's for me what I've enjoyed about the sports sales business and the ticketing business up until now.
No, I absolutely love it. And that's exactly how I like to describe the sport sales industry is it's almost like you're at practice, right, with your team and you're all pushing each other and working and grinding for playing time. But at the end of the day, your goal is to win and to get ready for the game. And that's the same at the end of the day in sales. You want to be the best you can, but at the end of the day, we're trying to bring revenue in for the organization. And it's a team effort. We're all helping each other grow and get better. And I love the building relationship piece too, because we're not just trying to sell you something. We're trying to create that memorable experience and give you something that's going to help solve a problem. Whether you're building a close relationship with your friend or parents, or you're bringing a client out. We're just going to try to help that memorable experience as best as possible. So love those points. So let's speak. So you had an internship in minor league baseball with Huntsville, right? And you're kind of getting your hands on doing a little bit of everything. And then you were fortunate enough to land a position with Spurs Sport and Entertainment, right in as a senior account executive, which you held for 6 years. Can you speak a little bit to that position and how that experience was?
Yeah, so when I started with the Spurs, I started 1 month after I graduated college. I was very fortunate to land that job then. So started January of 2010 in a class, an inside sales class with 9 other people that were about my age and right out of college as well. And so it wasn't a full-time position at the time, but we were there to earn a full-time position by learning the ticket sales process and learning how to have those conversations, how to make phone calls to sell season tickets in groups for 3 franchises. We had obviously the San Antonio Spurs and the NBA. But we also owned the San Antonio Rampage and the San Antonio, at the time they were called the Silver Stars, and the WNBA as well. And so we had goals and tasks to sell all 3 franchises there. And then obviously you learn different methods and different techniques to sell all 3, because it's a different mindset to sell the different leagues and different franchises. So did inside sales for about 6.5 months before I was promoted to full-time with the Spurs. And then when you do go full-time with the Spurs, you still maintain those other goals for the other franchises as well. So still had 3 different goals for 3 different franchises at that time. And then through that course of the 6 years or so, I was able to move my way up the ladder, earning promotions on the sales side, and eventually landed as a senior account executive with the Spurs. And I think kind of what led me eventually into management, I know we'll get into that in probably the next few questions or so, that shift to management, is just trying to be a natural leader on the team, and really leading by example and leading by producing my own numbers and doing things the right way, not getting involved in too much drama or kind of shady sales practices and that sort of thing. But if things kind of got caught up on the dramatic side or account ownership side, or just stuff that frustrated you, move on to the next account and move on to the next opportunity, and continue to sell. Your next sell can be the next phone call away or the next email away, and continue to think ahead, continue to think creatively, and think about how people are buying in the world today, and not only buying sports tickets, because if you limit yourself to that, then you're limiting your scope. But how do people buy anything these days? What are customers' purchasing habits? They prefer to shop online, or they prefer to shop via text message or via QR code or whatever it might be. So always trying to think ahead about how people are purchasing and applying that to my sales technique and try to make it possible for my potential clients to purchase the exact same way. Those kind of things led to my success on the selling side anyway. And again, and being willing to share my successes as well too. I didn't want to keep things a secret with my teammates. And so if someone saw that I was doing well, and they asked me what my technique was or what kind of email template I was sending out or whatever that might have been, I was open to sharing that with them, because I wanted them to get better as well too. And I wanted our team to achieve its overall goals too. It wasn't my responsibility to succeed and then keep things a secret, but it was my responsibility to succeed, share my best practices that did work well, share my mistakes that didn't work too well. And then if I did think that someone was going to take my ideas and possibly pass me up based on those techniques that they got from me, then it was a different challenge for me to continue to get better, to think of the next new technique overall, to continue to get better as well. I don't stay set in my ways because people will pass me up. Go ahead and think about what's next and continue to push myself even further as well. So I think just being willing to share my best practices and my mistakes, and then learning from others as well. That's what kind of led to my success moving up the ladder with the Spurs. Being genuine in that regard, and just trying to be genuine with my clients and stuff as well. And I think that's kind of what led to my success moving up the ladder on the Spurs sales side.
I love it. Winning's infectious, right? Winning is infectious. You close a sale, it's infectious. And you share it with others. And shout out Connor Monzo who sat next to me with the Yankees. But we bounce all the time. We're bouncing ideas off each other. That's great. I'm going to use that. And that's what it's all about. And you're competitive with each other, but at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. So before we dive into the management side, because I am really intrigued with that, something you said really stood out to me and resonated with me based on a conversation I had with a career seeker yesterday. And it's the willingness to volunteer and take a part-time position, right? You just get out of college, you spent all this money, and you're like, all right, let's go. I got this degree, maybe I graduated cum laude, whatever it may be. What is your viewpoint on just taking whatever opportunity you have to get into this industry? How important is that?
Yeah, it is important. it's a hard balance to walk sometimes, though, because you do want to, like you said, take whatever you can get, but also you have to recognize your value and your worth as an employee and a person as well too. So you don't want to be you don't want to go somewhere and be treated like dirt either. So in my experiences, I think it'll feel right in your gut if it's the right opportunity for you. But yes, it will start most likely with humble beginnings. Like my internship in Huntsville, for example, it was not paid. They did pay for our housing and things like that too. So there wasn't a lot of bills to pay that semester necessarily, but you did learn a lot. And so I think the biggest challenge for you as an intern or as a volunteer is to always challenge your own self about, while I'm here, what can I learn and what can I gain that will help me build this resume for a better position and a full-time position down the road. Can I ask for more duties? Can I ask for more details and more responsibilities to be able to do here, so that I can continue to build something here that's valuable down the road as well too? What am I learning now that I can apply down the road? Because when you think about future job interview opportunities, what you should be thinking about is my past experiences. How do they apply for the position that's open that I'm applying for right now? And so if you're in that present moment, you need to be asking yourself, what current experiences am I gaining that will apply towards future openings that I have down the road and the job requirements and the things that I'm looking for down the road as well too. So yes, be judicious with what you're looking for. I know that sometimes, especially during the age of COVID, the search can't be quite as open for you to be allowed to be as judicious as you possibly can. But still, look for the right opportunity, and then when you do find it or find that crack in the open door, seize it and make the most of it, and be a volunteer or be an intern that they will definitely never forget, and that they are very tempted to create a spot for you if they could, open up for you, or at least give you a great recommendation afterwards.
That's it. Make the impact on that franchise. And even if you don't like the position that you're in or what you're doing, just find the transferable skills, work hard, and those skills are going to help you get that next job. So great point there. So diving into the management side. So you spent 6 years as a senior AE with the Spurs and with the three different teams, and then now you worked your way into management specifically for the San Antonio FC. So can you elaborate on that transition from a rep to management and what that was like?
Yeah, so it was almost a natural transition, because the SSNE had recognized that I kind of built a reputation for myself on our sales team, kind of as a natural leader, one that, like I said, led by example, was vocal when I needed to be, but not vocal when I didn't need to be, and just kind of became a natural leader in that regard of, like I said, sharing best practices, helping kind of coach our newcomers, our new inside sales reps, and just being available to them in that regard. So I think they recognized that I had several management qualities already, even without the proper training or without the management courses and that kind of thing overall too. So it was a crunch time situation for SSNE when we announced that we were founding San Antonio FC, because we announced the team in December of 2015. I was actually hired or interviewed officially in January 2016, so the next month after that. And then we actually started play in April 2016. So we had about 3 to 4 months really of ramping up to build a sales staff, to get our season ticket members into place, to sell tickets, and to get ready to launch a season successfully. And so a lot of us that were in management roles at the time, grateful to SSNE for giving us the opportunity to learn as new managers. But a lot of us were first-time managers doing this. And we learned on the fly a lot, and we really, because we didn't really feel the pressure to have to get it done, we just kind of did things. But we got it done overall. And so I hired a great sales staff to start out with, some people from, the Spurs inside sales department that had some soccer background and some soccer passion. We got the job done. And we successfully launched. And I think the very first opening night that we had back in April, 2016, it's either the first or the second number one or number two highest attended, game of all time at the stadium, still today. And so to be able to achieve that is a pretty proud moment. Those, like I said, when we talk about transferable skills, the things that I had been practicing when I was with the Spurs and just as a sales rep or an AE, those things greatly helped me when I became a manager. Now, one thing that also did help me when I became a manager, because it was my first time, I greatly sought out advice from other people who had been in similar positions to me before. I sat down with them and said, if I'm coming, from a senior level sales rep to a first time manager, and I'm going to be managing, entry level, sales reps for a, minor league, sports franchise. Now that you're a manager or a director, what do you wish you had known at the time? Tell me what your mistakes were or what you did really well, so that I can apply that to my new career here. And I can't, I don't want to make those same mistakes. And so that was key for me, learning, some of those bits of advice from other people who have been there and done that before. And I think that has been a template for me the past 4 to 5 years now of how I learn from people. And I'm a sponge when it comes to that kind of stuff, of learning what people do well, what people haven't done well, and so that I can either emulate those things that do go well and avoid those things that don't. And so that's been a big key for my success. And I encourage everyone that I come into contact with to have that same mindset, because you can always continue to learn. And that's been a key for me overall.
Always learn. I love that. It's so important in the industry, and it just goes to show it doesn't matter what level you're at. You could be at the top level with the top, with a top organization, still be willing to learn, still listen to podcasts, talk to your coworkers, talk to entry level employees, and see what their mindset is, because they could have something right out of college that you're like, you know what, that's a great idea. So I absolutely love that point, and I think we'll get into that next with the mentorship and advice and asking for all of that, but. So it's clearly been unprecedented times, right? For all of us, not just in the US, but around the globe. And it's safe to say it's been quite the roller coaster, especially for you over the last few months. So I'll tee this one right up for you and let you just run with it.
Sure.
So talk to us about the last few months and how that's been going for you.
Yeah. So we've all dealt with COVID, right? Especially in the sports business, but not only in the sports business, but in a lot of industries around the world. A lot of people are struggling. Unemployment rate is crazy right now. And, getting unemployment payments is tricky. I'm learning firsthand from that myself the past month or so. So it's not easy, and it's not easily mentally, and that affects your physical health as well. And it affects, kind of how you feel about yourself and your self-confidence and all that. And it also, worry about the future makes you, it can bother you as well, and it kind of affects you too. So I get it, and I've been there. I've been there because I spent, March through July, or early July, I guess. I spent March through July working remotely from home here in this exact same spot, managing my sales team and not being able to see them in person or my coworkers in person, but being able to have to work remotely. And then in early July, I was let go by the Spurs, and due to COVID reasons and that sort of thing. And I was one of many, not only with my company, but around the industry. And, I posted on LinkedIn a few weeks ago that I look forward to the day where, sports and entertainment franchises and organizations are not only stopping the layoffs and stopping the furloughs, but actually rehiring again. It's going to come soon. It's coming. It's hard to see around the corner at the time. But I use the term heartbreaking every time that I see it happen on LinkedIn or see someone announce that they've been let go or furloughed or whatever it might be. And it's absolutely accurate. That's how I feel. It's heartbreaking every time I see it, because I not only because I've been there and done it myself, but because the longer it keeps happening, the more it feels like kind of our industry's, kind of crumbling at the foundation a little bit. But I know that's not the case. It's tough times right now, but I know that people still need and want entertainment. And so I know that that change is going to come eventually. It may take a few more months. It may take a year or so. And it's going to take slow progress and baby steps to get fans, slowly and surely back into the stadium. But as of right now, I know it's tough for job seekers out there. It's tough for people who have been, let go or furloughed from their organizations at the moment. But if we can, use this time wisely, then time will get better. And so it's just a matter of figuring out what your game plan is at this point, using it to your advantage the best that you can, and taking advantage of the opportunity. For me personally, I was very fortunate when I was let go that I was surrounded by my network pretty immediately. And I was reached out to within a few days after the news hit. And I was hit with opportunities and questions and, where do you want to go next? What do you want to do next? Do you want to stay in the sports business? Do you want to get out of the sports business and go into the corporate world where things are more steady right now, obviously, in certain industries? And so I had some decisions to make. And so I spent, a week or so, kind of weighing some options and thinking about what I wanted to do. And I was fortunate enough, again, that I had built a a great enough network up over my 10 years in the industry overall, that I had a lot of people and a lot of connections that were willing to help me out, at least make introductions, start with conversations with people. And then it was on me at that point to kind of, take advantage of those conversations and stuff. So I had several, kind of informational interviews. I had some official interviews, and then eventually landed with two great organizations, with the Aspire Group, who just recently signed a contract to work with UTEP, University of Texas, El Paso, the minors athletic department. So two great organizations to get to work for now, and started officially yesterday working remotely with them. And so I'm thrilled to be a part of that. But for me, the biggest key to my success was the network I had built over my 10 years of doing this and maintaining relationships, maintaining contacts with people. And when they found out the news that I had been let go, they were there to support me and kind of lift me up and do whatever they can to make introductions. Again, ask what I wanted to do next and all that too. So very fortunate to have those people in my life. And for me, I felt the responsibility to now pay it back to those people, but also pay it forward too. So because I've gotten a job, it doesn't mean that my heart hurts any less for people who haven't gotten that fortune yet. And so I'm here to help out any way I can to get people back on track and to get people back in the industry the best we can, as quick as possible, hopefully.
Yeah, no, I love it. And again, that's what really attracted when I saw your post and all the things you've been doing on LinkedIn. And that's really the core of this podcast, because I've been there with my current position in sports, and I get it. So, and that's what this is for, is just giving back and helping. And, I think you have two choices, right? When COVID hit and when you get dealt this bad hand, you get punched in the gut, you could stay down, or you can get up and just trust the process, stay positive. And even if you have to, like you mentioned, get a job out in the corporate world outside of sport, go back to those transferable skills. Exactly. What can you develop outside of that? Because I guarantee when you're going to look to hire, you're going to be asking the candidates, what have you been doing over the last few months? Exactly. And you're going to want to see growth there, but you can also stay in sports. I've seen so much of this on LinkedIn, and it's rewarding. And I hope I've just helped pave the way a little bit for that. Is start a podcast, write a blog, join a network, join panel discussions, all of that stuff. Just build that personal brand and that personal network, and it'll all work out. So I absolutely love that. Love the advice. So let's dive in now that we're speaking directly to the career seekers, right? Yeah. And even to some, employees that got let go by their teams. We're speaking to all of them. Let's dive into mentorship. As we said before, what is the value of having a mentor in the industry? As I know, we all have many, but in regards to you, like, what are the keys to that mentor and the benefits of that?
For sure. I'm going to shout out, I don't know if he's going to be watching this later or not, or if he's watching it now, but Ron Patel, who's the president down in RGV of a multi-entertainment company down there, who primarily run the RGV Vipers in the G League and the Toros in the USL. He's been a good friend and a mentor of mine lately, whether he knows it or not. But when he spoke, I actually invited him to speak to my sales team when I was still with SAFC. And one of the bits of quote unquote advice that he gave was actually not to take advice from anybody. He said, don't ever take advice from anybody, but instead learn from what they've done over the course of their life and their career. Learn from the good things and learn from the bad things. That's different than advice, because advice is me telling you what you should be doing, or telling me telling you what I think that you should be doing. Instead, I'm going to tell you what's worked for me. I'm going to tell you what hasn't worked for me. And you can learn based on my experiences overall. And so you'll learn ever since kind of Ron shared that quote with me and stuff, that stuck with me. And I think that's the value that itself really describes the value of having a mentor to an absolute T, of just learning from their experiences. And so that also for the job seekers out there right now, what I would encourage you to do, what's worked well for me, is to seek out people on LinkedIn that are in roles that you're interested in. So if you're interested in the ticket sales world, then reach out to either VPs or directors of ticket sales that are still working for teams at the moment. If you're interested in marketing, do the same with that field, and so on and so forth. And just set up conversations like this, whether it's through Microsoft Teams or through Zoom or through FaceTime. Since a lot of us are working from home right now and have a little bit of free time, if you ask for 15 to 20 minutes of their time, they're willing to share it with you. But then your next question is, what do I talk about? What do I ask about? Well, that was my point about asking about their experiences. just getting them to tell you about what they've done well, what's worked well for them, how did they get their job, how did they get in their position, what are some mistakes that they made along the way. Similar to when I started to be a manager, when I was asking other managers what did they wish they knew at that time, ask them the same exact things. And so if you can ask them about their personal experiences and then what they wish they knew, people are willing to talk about themselves. And it's easy questions for us to answer as well, because it's not like we're trying to come up with these different sales philosophies or these different techniques we're trying to teach someone. We're simply talking about what we've done in the past, what our experiences have been, and whether good or bad. And it's pretty easy to answer in that regard too. So I think that's the value of having the mentors across the country or across the industry. And I do say across the country literally too. I've got connections, from the Anaheim Ducks all the way to the Atlanta Braves and everywhere in between. And I text those people frequently about ideas and best practices and random ideas that I think of. That I think, what do you think about this? Do you think it could work in your market, or what is something that you've done in your team that I could apply here? What's something cheap I could do because you need to save some money, or something that if money was no object, what would you do? Those kind of things that we text very frequently back and forth on. I got some group texts, I've got some individual texts, so it's a good combination of both. And so it's important to maintain those relationships, and you also never know when they'll come in handy as well too. And then also important for you to not be afraid of sharing your own value, you sharing your own ideas and stuff as well, and always give back. So don't always take, but offer to give as well too, and be available to their questions. And how you do that is building your own resume by leading by example and building your own successes and stuff too. You mentioned something earlier that I wanted to touch on as well. Is I think sometimes in our mind that a mentor has to be older than us or in a higher position than us, and that's definitely not the case either. If you ask me of who some of my mentors are, I would actually tell you that some of my former sales reps are as well too. I rely on people that I've overseen and their feedback and their expertise just as much, if not more, sometimes than people who are above me. On the ladder as well too. And so your entry level employees and the people that have brought different experiences from different backgrounds and stuff as well can be a huge asset to you. And so I would encourage you to seek out people on those levels as well. Also because for me as a manager, I haven't directly sold tickets for the past 4.5 years. I haven't been on the phones 50 times a day like some sales reps have. And so the actual sales reps who are actually on the ground level making those calls and having those conversations are some of the best to learn from, because that's how you can continue to stay fresh on what's relevant in the market nowadays, what's not working so well anymore. Because if you're not getting feedback from them and learning, what's good and what's not, then you're becoming a dinosaur yourself and getting, kind of lost behind the times since you're rusty on your own skills overall. So mentors can be from all parts of the ladder, from all parts of the company pyramid, all over the country, and never think you can't learn something from somebody. You always can, because if you think you can't, you're just flat out wrong. There's really no other way to put that. So always try to figure out something you can learn from someone else.
100%. And I love what you said. It's not take. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
You both give, the same amount, and you never know where it's going to lead, like you said. So I love that point. And I love that point too, because I'm a huge advocate, like you said, of just reaching out and networking. And it's one of those things. And it's, I'm sure it's day one on your sales training as well, but I know it was mine with the Yankees, is building the day one sales training of building rapport. Have people like talking about themselves. So
yeah,
they'll give you the time, but you got to go out and take the initial steps to do that. So yeah. I'd love to dive in now and you kind of hit on it in regards to seeking people out on LinkedIn, and that's huge. But what are some other things that you feel that career seekers right now could do to help best put themselves in a position to land a job once things start opening up again?
Yeah. So think creatively in terms of what you might want to do. On Teamwork Online, there's about 700 positions open right now. On ncaa.com or .org, there are another handful of 100 positions open, right now too. They may not all be the exact, fit for what you're looking for, because, obviously, websites like that, post everything from VP of ticket sales to arena carpenter, so everything might not be the perfect fit for you, but there are 700 jobs out there in the sports industry that are open at the moment, so there are organizations out there hiring that, and then there are some that that aren't affected by COVID quite as much as others are. Teams that are in the process of building new stadiums, like for example, some of the MLS expansion franchises, they're in the process of building new stadiums and selling those places. And so, because those franchises don't start play until either 2022 or some of them in 2023, they are really not affected by COVID at the moment quite as much because they don't have the struggle of we can't sell tickets in our current stadium because that doesn't exist. And so they're looking for good people who can be valuable assets to the organization to sell in those future seasons as well. So just one example of something creative about who is hiring at the moment, who isn't necessarily affected by this current job market at the moment, and who can I get in front of. So you look at those teams, for example, and you may want to, if they don't have a clear opening on the website to where it's just like a wide open door, easy to find, do some research and find either a director or a VP that works for the organization and just ask what their vision is for the future. You know, if you can get a conversation with them either over the phone or through a video call, however that might be, just pick their brain for 10 to 15 minutes, see what their vision is for the future about when they might start hiring sales reps or, premium, suite consultants, whatever it might be at that time, and get a feel for what their vision is moving forward. And so at that time, again, you don't want to call, begging for a job opportunity, but hey, this is my name. This is where I went to college. This is what I'm looking to do. This is my background and my experience. And this is what my passion and interest are. If you don't mind, can I at least just go ahead and send you a resume so you can have it in your inbox, share it with your HR department so they can have it on file as well too. And then if you said you're looking to hire maybe, next March or whatever that might be, I'd love to touch base with you again then to see if that's okay. And so just kind of get their permission to do that. But again, it's thinking creatively and it's continuing to search out there. And again, there were several conversations that I had, during my month or so break in between jobs, that I called, several VPs or several leaders of teams, just to talk, saying this is my background and what I've done in San Antonio. This is what I think I want to do next as far as next steps go. I know, like, I get it. You're not hiring right now. Everybody's in a hiring freeze. I get it. So that I'm not looking to have any opportunities right now. But in case anything does open up, either with your organization or if you see anything that I could be a fit for, I'd love for you to send it my way, and I'd love to talk to someone else too. But I had, probably 8 to 10 conversations like that, where it's just me getting to know the other person, getting to learn about their business and their experience and what they're looking for in the future as well. And then me kind of sharing who I am and what I'm looking for next overall. Again, I was able to land one opportunity, which is all I needed. But at the same time, I built 9 to 10 more connections with other people that could be useful down the road and stuff as well too. Whether it's for me, sending other people their way for job opportunities, or for me sharing best practices later on with them, that's someone I can add within my network overall, and it can all be valuable down the road for sure.
100%. I love 100%. And you would be blind to think that teams aren't right now still doing informational interviews, like you said. And once the industry starts opening up again, who are the first people they're going to call? Are the ones that stayed top of mind, the ones that showed their value, and then the ones that reached out to them and made the effort. So I love that point. And at the end of the day, if it's not a fit with that organization, you still gained a connection. And who knows where that connection is going to go.
Right. There've been several times where, like interviewing for whether it's SFC or other positions, that I really like this person. I would like we had a great interview. They're a solid candidate, but we just had someone slightly better. But I would take that person and refer them over to a different organization that might be interested in talking to them as well too. So that's going to happen as well. So even though you have a great conversation with a company and they choose someone else over you, or they decide you're not the best fit at the time, they still might like you enough based on the efforts that you made to recommend you to somewhere else too. You never know what's being said behind closed doors about you as well too, in a good way. That can lead you on elsewhere.
No, and I love that point. I think when I started with the Yankees, I know the first day they said, listen, there's 13 of you guys, and I guarantee at least half aren't going to be in sales in their career. But if you come in and work hard and show your value, we'll find a position, whether here or elsewhere, for you. So Absolutely. It just goes to show you just work hard, make the effort, and it will go far. So last question here, now that we're on the topic of interviews. So whether it's informational interviews or when you're looking to hire, which shameless plug, but is going to be starting soon down there in El Paso. So what are some of the skills and traits that you look for in a candidate that you would bring on for your team?
Sure thing. So we, like, in my initial interviews with people, I can almost tell over the course of the first 3 to 5 minutes of the conversation if they're a likely candidate for me in my department or not. Because I'm looking for sales roles typically. And if you can sell yourself and sell yourself as a person and as a likable personality, then you can be trained to sell UTEP tickets or sports tickets, whatever job interview that you might be applying for at the moment. So for me, I can usually tell just based on the flow of conversation, because obviously a lot of our ask of the job is going to be in-person conversation or phone conversation, at least verbal conversation at some point with someone in some method, whether it's a video call like this or on the phone, or like I said, eventually when we get back to normal, in-person appointments. So if you can carry a verbal conversation, pretty easily, or if you can't, I can tell pretty quickly on if it's going to click or not. And so again, it really just depends on the flow of the conversation, how you present yourself. Because if you can't present yourself in a good way, then it's going to be hard for you to present your product in a good way later on as well too. I look for a positive mindset because yes, there will be a lot of rejection in the industry. A 90% fail rate is still pretty good. And so someone that can maintain a positive mindset that's really not affected by their wins and losses. One of the things that I train my reps on is you have to let your attitude affect your success, not your success affect your attitude. And so you have to come with a positive mindset, whatever day, whether your previous day was good or bad, that you're going to try to be the best that you can. So if you had your top sales day of your career yesterday, that still doesn't mean anything about your success today. And then if you had your worst day of your career yesterday, that doesn't have to have any bearing on what happens today either. So positive mindset day in, day out, and be willing to bring that to the table every day, because that also bleeds over to your teammates. We talk about winning is contagious, but so also is losing, and so your attitude will bleed over into your teammates and can negatively affect them too. Because if you're having a down day and you're showing it in your body language, showing it in your mindset and how you're approaching everything, the person right beside you, they might have had a success they want to celebrate, but they kind of feel bad about it. And they don't want to kind of overshadow you and whatnot. So then that affects their mindset of, I don't want to succeed too much, but I don't want to look bad in front of them, So positive mindset is huge. Coachability is huge as well too. How willing are you to learn? How willing are you to take positive constructive criticism and understanding the why behind why we're doing it for you. The reason why I'm correcting you and the reason why that I wish you would do things differently is to put you in a better place to succeed, because it's not only better for you overall as an individual, but it's better overall for us as a team as well, to achieve our goals in the long run too. So, being willing to accept that criticism and to take that coaching and stuff as well. And never have that know-it-all mindset of I'm perfect. I've got it all figured out. I've got this down to a T. And so I can't get any better than what I currently am now. So if you ever have that mindset and kind of lose that humility side of things as well, then at that point it's time to reevaluate and figure out where you can get better, and figure out why you have that mindset at the moment. And let's continue to push you even further as well too. So when I'm looking for candidates as a sales rep, especially, those are the things I'm looking for, is someone who just can convey themselves well and communicate well, first of all. Positive mindset all the time, and always looking for that positive, even in the negatives, always look for that positive, and then being willing to always be coached and get better, always seeking improvement in that regard overall. Those are the things I'm looking for when I interview candidates.
I absolutely love all of those points. And I mean, how many times do you see, a 2 or 3 home run game from an MLB player, then the next day they get the golden sombrero?
Exactly.
It happens, but you got to trust your skills, and maybe make tweaks. Maybe you got to drop the hands a little bit or make small changes, but you got to stay positive, keep that mental mindset. 'Cause if you tell yourself you're going to fail, you're going to fail. And then I also just love that positive mindset is, you got to approach a win humbly, but you also have to approach a loss as almost a small win, because you learn what not to do. And what didn't work, and fix it. So I absolutely love all those points. And Joey, again, I don't want to take too much more of your time. I know you got you're slammed over there, both personally and professionally. So any final thoughts? And I'll let you kind of go with this one, which way you want to go.
Sure thing. I'll reiterate, like I said, I know it's, sports is a fun business, and I want to just remind everyone that we are in challenging times right now. And so if you're still in the sports business and still fortunate to have a job at the moment, I don't ever want to lose sight of how fortunate that I am and how fortunate that we are to work in this industry. We get to provide entertainment to fans across the country and fans within our markets to escape the hardships of life and that sort of thing. And we get to be the conduits between those fans and those experiences. That's why I love the sports ticket sales world and being on the sports business side. And so if you're a job seeker and have been in the sports industry in the past, things will get better overall too. So, but don't forget, don't lose sight of how fortunate we are to be in this industry, how blessed we are to do so, and that there are a lot of people, as bad as this may seem at the moment, with no fans in the stands or limited crowds, limited capacities. The challenges that we face, sometimes still very much pale in comparison to things that are going on around the world, and even across our own country right now at the moment too. So, for anybody that's in the industry, don't lose sight of that, and I hope that I don't either. And if I ever do lose, that feeling, that it's probably time for me to exit the business, I guess. But I love what I do. I'm very fortunate to be with UTEP and with the Aspire Group. Looking forward to my next steps overall. We got a lot of good things in the works there in El Paso, and so grateful for every experience I've had so far. Already preemptively grateful for the experiences I'm about to share in El Paso with these good folks as well. And so I encourage everybody to keep their heads up. And again, if there's anything I can do for you personally, I am on LinkedIn. You can find me there pretty easily. Shoot me a message. Let us set up some time to talk with you, and maybe even connect you with some of my network as well too. That can be a further help to you, depending on what you're interested in getting into. So that's it. Thank you very much for having me, Michael.
Of course. There you go. I got one more question before you jump. In part of the onboarding process with UTEP was watching the Glory Road film. Was that part of the onboarding process?
Not officially, but I definitely did it. I definitely did when I was in the interviewing process. Actually, I watched it. I'd watched it a long time ago and didn't remember the full details of it. But during the interview process, in case I did get asked that question, I didn't want to be caught off guard with it too much. But I did definitely watch Glory Road and saw the details of that. So great history in El Paso, and still I learned this on Wikipedia a few days ago. Still the only D1 college in Texas to win a men's basketball championship. So pretty cool, interesting fact there.
Fun fact. I know, was it 2 years ago? That was close. It was Texas Tech. But yeah, no, in my eyes, because I grew up a basketball player, and that was one of my favorite moves growing up. I mean, Coach Haskins in that upset, the 1964 Miners, one of the greatest upsets of all time. So
yeah,
awesome.
Great story and great speaking to the racial equality movements. And it's crazy how some of that stuff is still relevant still today, even in the social progress movements and that kind of thing too. So always a great reminder of how things can be broken down and how sports can make a huge impact on those kind of things.
100%. So everyone, if you haven't checked it out, Glory Road, fantastic movie. Reach out to Joey on LinkedIn. He's busy. He'll get back to you as soon as he can, and just look to win every day. So Joey, again, thank you for the time, for the insight. I know we can talk all day, so I'll let you get back to work when we'll reconnect soon, my friend.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for having me.
Yep. Have a great one. All right. So Joey Harvey, what a story. What a story there. Just it goes to show in tough times like this, we're all dealt a bad hand, but what are you going to do with it? You're going to stay down, or you're going to get back up, keep growing, keep getting better, and you're going to find that opportunity. So my final takeaways is that positive mindset. No matter what hand you're dealt, just stay positive, keep looking for ways to grow and get better. And then also just keep being a lifelong learner. Doesn't matter what position you get to, stay humble, always ask questions, always be curious, and just continue to learn. So again, on behalf of Joey, myself, Rob, Denise, the whole Game Plan U team, thanks for spending part of your Tuesday with us, and looking forward to reconnecting with you next week on another episode of Interview with Influencers. So on behalf of all of us here, thank you, and best of luck crushing the rest of the week. Take care, everybody.